got a lot of things that are there. I'd say 50 to 60% of our students are kind of in that structural engineering, and then we've got some diversity in the other areas of about 10-15% that would be in the other regions that are on there. There's a kind of what defines, am I right, Dan? That kind of defines what civil and environmental engineers are in this area. So next slide. So, got a lot of good things. This is kind of some feedback we got from some students over the years. Our Free Food Friday is quite popular, I guess it is, yeah. So we got, so every Friday some food that's there. We got good advisors. This is advisor week, and so hopefully you had a chance to visit with your advisors there. But, lots of good things and hands-on learning. That's what we're known for, but that's kind of across our whole campus in some ways. Next slide. So our flow chart, this is, I don't need to go through all the details in here, but it's pretty comprehensive, but it's got some good breadth and depth. And notice a lot of you, I see some familiar faces are kind of in this junior, senior level that's on there. It kind of gets busy that fall semester, lots of labs and but a lot of hands-on learning that's there. And we also have a curriculum on the next slide that's for our environmental engineering, environmental emphasis that has more chemi focus, kind of chemistry related that's there. And so we've got about, I'd say 15% of our students are kind of going that pathway that's there. And we've got some meetings with SDSU and USD to look at collaborative environmental engineering program going forward. So they're coming here on Friday to talk about some of this, how we could work together to kind of grow this across our state and have a collaborative program. So it should be pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. Next slide. So enrollment trends. So civil isn't the most sexy program in some ways, but if you want to build tomorrow, this is what we're trying to do. And so enrollment, we had a peak before most of you, I hope, were here. We had a big peak that was on here, but we've kind of gone down and kind of up. Mechanical has kind of done this ramp upwards in a lot of ways. But we're back up there, and I think we've got a pretty good group of prospective students for our freshman class next year that's going to even grow this more. So we're pretty excited about that. Next slide. And then MS, PhD, we've kind of grown our research as most programs here on our campus have done, and so we've kind of seen this uptick of PhD and MS students as well. So that's kind of definitely grown in the past 10 years. And then next slide is atmospheric. So, and then construction engineering management has just exploded recently. So this past year, we've gone from 18 to 27. I think we currently have 40 students in the program is what I understand. So it's been quite popular. That's a distance related program that you can take either in person or remote as well. So it's been pretty big. Next slide. And then atmospheric sciences has grown quite a bit. Undergraduate 27. So AES has grown up mainly the meteorology, if I say that right, but we also have environmental science specialization that's grown as well. So we're making some progress with that, and so that program is doing a lot better. So next slide. So I guess the good and the bad, I kind of already talked about this, but I think we're kind of seeing that trend of growing in civil, and it's kind of nationwide. We're starting to see this growth in these programs. The bad, I guess the FAFSA delays, as you're probably well aware, has been a bit of a challenge for a lot of our students currently here and also coming here. And then we've hibernated the PhD program at AES, and then just trying to look at better marketing things. And so, but we got a non-thesis professional degree that we're working on that would be in AES. I've got the plans for that. We're going to go through the Board of Regents. Then we have a new CEM minor as well that's here on campus that just started this academic year. That's actually been quite popular. Next slide. So again, just pictures of what we're doing in area. So lots of outreach with the various faculty members, a lot of K through 12 hands-on learning things that have been pretty awesome. You'll see a bunch of this spring. Most of these are the spring semester with WISE and other groups that are there. So looking forward to seeing this again. Next slide. And then just more outreach that's there. A lot of international students, graduate students. Different events that are going on, so lots of neat things. Next slide. And then Capstone Design Fair is a big deal that many of you have or will see here pretty soon. That's coming, so a lot of senior design projects, and then Go to Minds that's there. Next slide. And then our student chapters, I guess we've got ASCE that's there. But we did awesome last year with Concrete Canoe Steel Bridge. Lots of success at the University of Wyoming. I think this year's down at Colorado State where it's going. But they got to go to nationals with both of those events, which is pretty impressive. Next slide. And then, some awards that they won as well there last year. And so we're looking forward to bringing home the Beat Colorado Mines and some other of our regional schools as well in those events. So looking forward to seeing that. So I guess now the meat, so next slide, is teaching. So let's talk about the effectiveness of what we're doing in our classes in civil and environmental. So we typically, so this is something I implemented as department head back when I started in 2020, is to kind of look at improving the quality of classrooms, the things that we do in our classes in our program. And so have our tenure track faculty members have at least one SGID, a small group independent diagnostic or course observation each semester. I just visited one this afternoon in fluid mechanics that many of you might have taken at some point here with one of our newer faculty members. And then tenured faculty have one about every 2 years or as needed. If I start seeing idea scores that are starting to go southward, I want to make that come and be better, a better experience. You paid a lot of money to come here, let's get some quality quality things, instruction in our classes. So my course observation, I typically look at the classroom displays, the layout, the audio, make sure that you can see things. We were in McClory 305, I think, today, and you got this one display that's like this, and then you got this long, wide room, and I was like, it's a little challenging. The students are all clustered in the middle with 45 students in there, so provide some feedback to the instructor. Looked at the D2L site, lecture style, is it writing on the board, is it PowerPoint slides, writing on the tablet, give them some feedback. Also see what you all are doing as you're going through. Are you just sitting on your phone? Are you engaged with doing things? What's going on? Because they don't know, so I can see that. Next slide. And then what I do as department head, I have access to all D2L sites in my department, so I can review and kind of see what the D2L module, what it looks like, look at some best examples from other faculty members, have a one-on-one meeting, typically a summary report's provided to the faculty member, then I talk about it with them, say what's going well, what's not, and then try to do this within the first month of the semester to make sure that the rest of the semester goes better, that's there. Provide constructive feedback, both positive and negative. And then also try to encourage faculty members to sit in these exceptional, let's say, Jedi Master classes that are there. There are some, and you've had, I'm sure, classes that are just unbelievable. I try to get these newer faculty members, hey, go sit in Dr. Robinson's class, or go sit in somebody's class, and kind of see how they engage, how they work with the students in here. And I think that's usually works out well, because a lot of our new and international faculty members teach like they were taught, and it could be rote memorization and things like that. And that's not what you came here to do. You came here to learn by doing. And so my goal is to try to get effectiveness in our classroom. So I've got the Stone Library, that's my office. I've got some teaching materials that are there, and provide some training materials for them to do some things. And so it works out pretty well. But try to get these faculty members to kind of sit in and see, observe, because we've got some exceptional faculty members here on this campus. Find out what they do, how do they engage. And I'm sure you've been in some bad classes, but I know you've been in some exceptional classes as well. So next slide. So this is kind of the screen. So what I do is I kind of, after the course observation, last 15, 20 minutes of class, I have you break up into small groups and answer these questions. What's going well, what's not going well, and what can you do to help better learn those materials, and then kind of get a rank of between 1 and 5 of how things are going. The class I just sat in today, it seemed like it was about a 4 to 5. It looked like it was going pretty well. It's on there. Kind of minor things was handwriting on the tablet, which is common, and things like that. But I kind of get a feedback and see what rises to the top that's on there. Then I provide a summary report that explains that. So I've got an example of a report. This faculty member is no longer here, so I'm free to distribute this that's on there. So next slide. And so here's a report. This is a faculty member. It's kind of hard to see, but maybe you'll get the slides or you can kind of read this in more details. But this was a faculty member, it looks like it was Brett Lingwall, and he was teaching a class, geotech class, and his class was a flipped classroom. All right, so how many of you had a flipped class before? And how many of you like having flipped classes? All right, so I see the hands are down. So it's flipped class. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages with that. And he had probably 2 hours of videos to watch for every lecture, which I thought, the students thought was a bit much. That's on there. And the videos were 10 years old, and I was like, things, you look different, and plus the things you're referring to don't make any sense. And but he didn't know that. He's like, I'm just going to put this out. And I was like, so I kind of talked about, so these are my observations, talked about the D2L site, so I talked about the pre-lecture. I actually watched a couple of the videos to see what's there. Said the videos could probably use a refresh and maybe consolidation that's on there. He was a little hesitant, but he did it. And then the EEP 252, I think he was writing on the board that was up there. I got old man, I couldn't see anything that was on there. I was like, maybe just write on the tablet so things are displayed easily. And so he made those changes. And then talked about how the students, some are taking digital notes, some are taking paper notes that are on there and provide some effective feedback. Next slide. And then, and so those are my observations. And then I kind of go through the students' feedback that's on there and kind of highlighted the main things that were there. And one was the very high course workload. The students were just irate about the workload. I was like, that's not a bad thing, but let's try to manage this a little bit there and see what are we trying to do. The videos, connected materials, office hours. So his office hours was when, this was crazy. Like the office hours were at the same time that every junior level class, they were in class. I was like, nobody's coming to see him. Well, no wonder, because everybody has a class in. So let's try, and so hey, put a survey out, find out what's compatible. And so that worked. And again, this was the first month of the semester. And then next slide. And then kind of broke down some of the main things that the students kind of broke up in there. And in my understanding, I went to the class the next time it was taught, and the feedback was much better. He made some wholesale changes. He fixed the office hours things, he fixed the writing on the board, and he kind of did a hybrid flip class, and kind of slowly transitioned into something that was better for the students that were there. So that, I call that a success story. I mean, and I think most of the time there's some marketable improvements with these observations. So this semester I'm doing 18 of these in civil. As when I was interim provost, I went and actually did these. Even though I had another job, I came in and did these for civil and came into probably like 7 or 8 classes. But I'm doing a whole bunch of these starting today, I guess for the month of February. So those of you that are taking these civil or atmospheric or EM class, I will be there to kind of go through this. And so we're trying to make this the best experience possible. The quality teaching is what we're known, that's what we want to be known for. So that's what we're working on. So with that, that's what I got. And so what questions do you all have for me as department head here for civil?
Senator Dawson. So I'm not a civil engineer, but I'm just curious, are your sit-ins, is that part of your job? Were you told to do that, or is that something you just kind of decided to go out of your way and go and do?
So it's not in my job description as department head. It's more of like, hey, how can we make our department and program better? How can, you all came here from a lot of different places, paying a whole bunch of money to come here. Let's try to make our classes the best that they can be. So it's a personal mission, And when I did the job, I interviewed for this position. Came here, I was an internal candidate, came in, but I gave a tough job to be honest. Hey, I know we're growing our research empire, but we also can't let our teaching, our classroom experiences go down like here. And I'm a classic case study. When my research load went up and got busy, my classes kind of went downhill. My SGI, my student evaluations went down, and I felt terrible about that. And so I was like, we're not going to let that happen. So I've gone through this experience, teaching a bad class, but also teaching a great class. So it's kind of a personal thing, but not every department does this. As provost, I did give this same talk to all department heads and said, and I'm doing some SGID training starting next week for the campus of how to do this. So I'm hopeful that you all in other departments will start seeing this implemented in classes that you're in. That's my goal.
So you mentioned both the IDEA survey and this SGID which one do you think is more effective in gauging what students actually feel about a class, and how effective, are the changes that result in both?
Yeah, so faculty members in civil, and we try to do this, so they're evaluated for teaching. You get an evaluation as department head, we evaluate our faculty members, and so I take normally we have an idea score plus 1, some other metric of evaluating your effectiveness of how you teach. So the idea score is it's one metric, but you want other metrics, because there are some flaws with the idea scores. A lot of times students only complete the idea score when they're disgruntled with the class. Like if you're going to answer those 40 questions, that means you're going to get some feedback that's on there. So the scores could be lower, especially more recently with the longer idea score, which I think we're trying to change in some ways, go back to the shorter one. So in civil, we require an idea plus 1. And so what I'm doing with the plus 1 is this, to try to see, all right, how can we do that? And so it's a balance in there. But they kind of give you, if the idea score is really low, there's a lot of times, hey, when I observe things are, I usually the next semester will come in and visit that class and say, all right, what's going on? Let's see what the problem is.
Chief O'Loughlin.
Just out of curiosity, so because there's a good amount of environmental engineers, and I know they take a lot of chemical engineering courses, do they have the same method of just general feedback that they give through the civil, like if they do similarly with the civil department, or do they only have the idea survey for like if their feedback on thermal?
For a chemi class?
Yeah, like on thermal.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what CBE does for that. I know they've got an interim department head, Shendi, that's there, and my goal is to try to get this, in other departments to try to, hey, this is. So I've got training next week for faculty members that are interested in training and try to put this in. I do have chemi students that are taking environmental classes that are in there, and they said, man, I wish they did this, and I've heard that before, that I wish we had this in CBE where we had a chance to kind of get better feedback in there. But yeah, it's not something that, it's not something we're coming into CBE classes to do. That would be a CBE class that would do this. But I'm hopeful that talk to your department head, and if you're in CBE, and tell them, hey, send some of your faculty get trained on this, and so we can evaluate these.
Any other questions for Dr. Jones? Seeing none. All right. Well, thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. Moving on, now we have our next up four guests, American Society of Civil Engineers. So if you guys would like to go ahead and take the floor.
Must be a civil day.
I am Bailey Holloway. Some of you already know me. I am the president of ASCE.
I am Jack Swanson. I am the current treasurer.
I'm Colin Coleman. I'm the current historian.
Next slide. So, as a club on campus, we have a couple things that we definitely want to make sure we drive into our members, and that would be our mission statement. And so our chapter's goal is to provide our members with professional opportunities, academically and also individually. We want them to be able to network, learn, but then also have fun and be engaged while within ASCE. And so we provide quite a few opportunities that allow them to do this, and we're going to be talking about some of them today. Next slide, please.
So to start out with some of our chapter goals, you'll see the number one on the top of the list, mainly to increase the size of our club. We've seen a little bit of a drop-off in the last few years in club membership. And so we felt it was a realistic goal at some of our meetings earlier this last semester to increase by 25% over the next coming year. That usually happens because of incoming freshmen And of course, we still lose a few members due to people finishing their master's or getting their bachelor's and finishing their tenure in school. Our second one is to maintain our regional competition. This next year in 2026, we are going to be hosting the regionals for the ASCE competition here on campus and also at the monument. And so by bringing the same amount of people every year to compete in all of these competitions, such as the Concrete Canoe or Sustainable Solutions, it'll increase our chances, it'll give us a little bit more diversity with the people that work on those projects, and overall just increase the, I guess, betterment of our competitions. And of course, we plan on hosting at least 2 community outreach events every semester. Some of our favorites include Construction, which is where we collaborate with the local elementary and middle schools. We get them to donate a ton of cans. We go in, we talk to them about civil engineering and how important it is, and then at the end we get to build big cool structures out of the cans. We kind of let the kids go crazy. They seem to love it, and we have a lot of fun every year. And so increasing the amount of community outreach events that we do like that is a big goal of ours. Next slide.
For our regional symposiums, this year we're graciously going to Fort Collins, Colorado. For these regional symposiums, we bring our Steel Bridge team, Concrete Canoe, are the ones that are actually underneath the normal ASE umbrella, like surveying, sustainable solutions, timber strong, and technical papers. And next year we are hosting this one. Hopefully we can get the monument. Do we have the monument?
Yeah,
we have the monument book. And we're looking to compete with the same teams. Next slide, please.
All right, so just some quick statistics that we have. We currently have 50 chapter members. Within that, we have 44 members that are signed up through the National ASE, which means they have an account through ASE, and that account is currently free to students within the chapter. 21 of our members are juniors and seniors, as well as we have currently 10 freshman members. We would like to see obviously more freshman members as we move on, but at the same time we did see an influx in new juniors and seniors deciding to join this previous year. Next slide. Some more statistics we have. This past year we hosted 15 general meetings, which we'll go over more of a breakdown of what each meeting was. We also hosted 3 outreach events, including one with a presentation, that would be construction. The other 2 were M Hill benches and M Hill plaque installation, which we'll cover those shortly as well. We also did 11 social events and 1 field trip. Next slide.
So for our spring meetings, we had 6 total meetings, and that included all of those you see on the list. The Black Hills branch meeting with the South Dakota Department of Transportation, the symposium travel meetings, which were basically organizing travel to Colorado for the symposium this spring, the SDES luncheon, which was just a little lunch we held and we practiced presentations, and there's a lot of fun activities that go on at that one. The competition presentations, so that's where, again, we practice our presentations for competition. So the technical papers, sustainable solutions, Concrete Canoe, Steel Bridge, pretty much every club has their own presentation that they give at the presentations. And of course, we had Jacqueline Melcher, from the Air Force, and that's that picture right there. She came in and gave a wonderful presentation. And we really love to have experts come in and people from the community who've worked in civil engineering, and so that was probably honestly one of my favorite meetings. Next slide. So for the fall meetings, last year, we had 9 meetings, so a couple few less, but that's because fall semester normally gets a little bit busier for people. We had the career fair and resume prep, so for that second career fair in the fall, we offer a lot of services for the freshmen. especially with the resume prep, which was very useful as a brand new freshman. The DOWL, the FE exam presentation, just to help people kind of get ready, understand what's going to be on the FE. The Black Hills branch meeting, Stan Miller came in and gave a geosynthetic reinforced retaining walls. That was over in the classroom building. He gave a really nice presentation. Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, the gingerbread house contest, which is a classic. We had this again we had it this fall, and we actually had quite a good turnout for that. And then obviously officer elections, so Bailey was reinstated and me and Colin were just sworn in. And of course the icebreaker meeting, so everyone got to know each other a little bit better. Next slide.
Oh, for one of our things we like to do is for Engineers Week, we like to work with the Department for Civil Engineering on leading tours throughout the campus, as well as demonstrating civil engineering through our clubs. We like doing research within our departments and activities for students in various stations. Next slide, please.
All right, so that one field trip that we went on last year was Rapid City's water treatment facility, and it was undergoing renovations, and it was just a cool visit to see all the metrics behind how everything works and how your sewage gets treated and put back into the environment and how it is then safe to drink, but also how they keep the plants open while they're undergoing renovations and construction, because that comes into a big logistics thing. All right, next slide.
So as for the luncheon that I mentioned earlier, so we hosted this luncheon with the rest of the Engineering Society, the South Dakota Engineering Society specifically, and also the Black Hills branch of the ASCE. Our students who were presenting at the Rocky Mountain Student Symposium were able to give their presentations to professional members and get feedback, which is probably the most important part of that luncheon, besides networking and getting to know people in the community. It's just really good practice for the different competitions that everyone is in. Next slide.
For the Rocky Mountain Symposium last year, it was held in Laramie, Wyoming. We brought out all of our competition teams, such as Concrete Canoe, Steel Bridge, who got first, Mystery Design technical papers, non-technical papers, and surveying. And our results are on the board. Concrete Canoe got second, Steel Bridge got first, Sustainability got fourth, Surveying got second, I believe. And I believe our Concrete Canoe got to go to nationals, even though they got second.
Yeah, they won the, every year they pick a wild card, a few wild cards out of the different teams that didn't get to make it to nationals, and we were luckily picked, and so we got to go compete along with the rest of the teams that made it.
And overall at this competition, we did end up second place out of all the teams and chapters that attended there. So it is a wonderful thing what these clubs and programs are doing to be able to go and present. And to get that networking experience with other students also going through the same thing. As you can see though, we do work quite close in tandem with Steel Bridge and Concrete here. Next slide. All right, so one thing we do every fall semester is Rocker Connections Weekend, and we work with student engagement on that, as well as Steel Bridge Concrete Canoe. We go out there to Sheardon Lake, we go grill. We normally allow freshmen to get some paddling practice in the Concrete Canoe. Steel Bridge does a little demo build as well, and overall just a fun time to get to know each other and to welcome people into the club as well as department. Next slide.
So the tailgates. You might have noticed if you go to a lot of the football games that there's almost always, and by almost always, pretty much always, a section that we rent out as part of the ASCE and the Concrete Canoe as well. They rent out a few spots, and they host a tailgate. There's some pictures here from, I think, just this last semester. You can come by anytime if you want free hot dogs or burgers or whatever we're cooking up. And it's just a really nice way for everyone to get together, watch some good football, and hang out with friends. Next slide.
And one of our outreach events is called Construction, like Jack said. We reach out to middle school or elementary school. We have them collect all the cans. We go in for a few hours, tell them a lot about civil engineering. We let them build with cans and usually ends up getting all donated. And we did raise, we got 639 pounds of food last year. Next slide, please.
All right, so as I mentioned, we do M Hill stuff, and so one of those is the M Hill plaque installation of the seniors that graduated. So we work with student engagement on this, and we'll go up there, schedule a day. We are very gracious that we get some donors to lend us some equipment for that weekend, where we are able to drill into the M up there, or not I guess the M, but currently the D, and install the plaque. This was just this fall's group that went up there, and you know, while we're up there doing work, there's quite a few alumni or just, you know, people from the community that walk up and are always, you know, wanting to know what's going on. And so we're very happy to tell them about this. And, you know, I think once you guys graduate, you guys are going to be very happy to see your names there as well. Next slide.
And of course, the bench project that we did last semester, that was just a small group that went up. So far, we have the concrete pad, and then we're going to have a bench dedicated to, what was it dedicated to again? So one of the benches is going to be donated from the Rotary, and then the other from the alumni at the school. And so we installed 2 concrete pads up there that we will then be going back up and once again drilling holes and installing the benches. But this is just one of the newer things that we had the opportunity to do this past semester. And you know, we look forward to doing more things with the school and with the community. Any questions for us?
I know one question, President Pritchard. I guess you guys say you're going to host competition, and there are competitions hosted with ASCE around the nation. So that includes concrete canoe and steel bridge.
Yes.
Okay, so like it's all under ASCE.
Yeah, all of those competitions we listed will be hosted here.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So I guess follow to that. Where will concrete canoe be paddled in them?
So currently, we've been working on scheduling meetings, and we had quite a few meetings this past semester. We haven't picked those meetings back up yet, but there's a committee that a bunch of members from ASE, Canoe, and Bridge, all of different, I would say, grade levels, per se, or class levels, are all in there, including graduate students as well. And I have tasked the canoe members to figure out a place of where they like to paddle. And the current consensus is Sheridan Lake, but we do have a couple backups in place, as we do understand hosting these competitions in late April, there's a possibility the lakes are still frozen.
Alright, any other questions? Vice President Lee.
I just want to comment, you guys did a great job. It's cool to see all the different events, outreach that you guys do, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Senator Richards.
So Steel Bridge and Concrete Canoe are funded as separate entities, right? And all the other competition teams are funded through the chapter?
Correct.
Okay.
So Canoe and Steel Bridge are large enough that they can be on their own. All these other competition teams have specific requirements where you can only, per se, have like 5 members. And so for like sustainable solutions, that's one where I know the current bylaws state that you have to have 10 members to be able to establish your own club. But with ASCE having so many different competitions, some are pilot programs that come in and out as well. We just house those instead of creating separate clubs. And so, yeah, Concrete Canoe and Steel Bridge are separate funding, receive their own separate funding from ASCE.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for coming. Alright, moving on to our final presentation tonight, Director Heckley on the Survec expansion.
But I would echo a quick thank you to ASCE, especially with regards to our senior flag, because if I had to get it up the hill, I probably would never get up there. So thank you for that. Okay. So a little disclaimer, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to talking about publishing. So thank you for this opportunity to come and talk a little bit about the expansion efforts. Geraldine Roberts, our Associate Vice President for Facilities and Risk Management, is also here. So if you've got questions here, we make sure that we answer all of those here. But we wanted to take an opportunity to obviously talk about the expansion effort. And this is, gosh, 15, 20 plus years in the making. So I still look out the window every morning like a pinch me moment, and it's like it's actually happening. So
there was a bowling alley.
Yes, there's lots of things that have changed over the years. So if you do look out the window, you can kind of see the east side of the footprint of the building. So I'm going to go through some information today, show some of the floor plans, some of the images of what we can hope to expect. And then just as a reminder, none of this is secret. We want students to know about it. So after this, we are going to do a display in the Survec Center with all of these slides. The drawings are in my office. We have electronic files of the drawings. So anything that students want to know, we're happy to share those things. So you'll go to the next slide. Okay. So just a little bit about the facts of the project. Okay. So it's not quite a $10 million project, but the key piece to know about this is being 100% funded by our generous alumni. Okay. So, you know, they have stepped up, and so it's not on the backs of raising activity fees. When we're talking about GAF and we talk about some of those bonds, there are a couple bonds out there that we're still paying with regards to Survec Center. That was our hope through this whole process, that it would not impact students at all to get this expansion done. And it also shows the power that alumni have in giving back. So I believe, as of Dr. Tandy's meeting a week or so ago, we have approximately $750,000 left to raise of that, but Kara is confident that they are going to meet that goal by the time we need to do the project. Okay, so we're adding approximately a little over 18,000 square feet between the two levels. Okay, so we're going to see some expanded and modernized food service space, and we'll talk about that. Really a one-stop shop for our visitors, so this will be really the new front door of campus, and where all prospective students and families will come for events. And our estimated completion date is July of 2026. Okay.
It's really nice, because there's those six of the actual completion date. So
Perfect, yep, so we should be there. No problems, right?
if they're not, it's going to be some trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next slide. Okay, so and I know these pictures again, a little bit small back there, but this will be the eastern side of the exterior of the building. So a lot of natural light will be able to come in with a lot of the windows that were coming in here. There's a section here with this M, and we'll talk a little bit about that, what's going to be unique about that. And then on the north end, there's some additional conference space that will be similar to the Hall of Fame, but we'll look at those a little bit further. So next slide. Okay, so this is lower level view. So things that you can kind of expect, that will be the main entrance to the building. So it's really down here. There'll be a vestibule that you will walk in, and this is the first area that I'm really excited about. So when you look at the Surbeck Center right now, there's a real distinction between the floors. There's nothing that brings the floors together. Okay? And so when you walk into the building, you're going to be able to, and well, there's some pictures that you'll be able to see that, you will be able to see both floors as you walk in. Okay? To the left will be the staircase to go upstairs. There will be a set of learning stairs, so if you've been in the new core building, they will be similar to that. They'll look a little bit different in this building. Before we talk about upstairs, you'll walk in. So this is kind of that half wall that's by the minor shack area. This will be kind of open into the minor shack area. Okay? So you'll walk in, we'll have seating there. There'll be a little bit of a lounge here. There's a conference room. We've got some storage here and then a mother's room in the building. But this room over here is going to be a meeting room, but it's also being designed that will be extra flex space for dining seating as we move down. But the brand new, as you come in, there'll be a brand new elevator here. Our donor wall will be alone here. But down this hallway is going to be the new entrance to the dining hall. Okay, so they will be very much separate. The dining hall concept will change in that you go in, you eat while you're in there, and then when you're done, you'll leave the cafeteria. Okay? So that will change a little bit, but the idea is that you'll walk in, you'll find a seat, you'll then enter the dining hall, get your food, and then the doors where you're at kind of going in to drop your plates off and those things currently, those will be the exit doors to the dining hall. Okay? So you'll still kind of exit through that minor shack seating. But again, this will be an air wall right here so that if we've got a huge event, whether it's the reunion, we've got a conference coming or whatever, where we need extra space within the dining hall, we will have those pieces. Okay, okay, next slide. All right, so then main level, once you come up the stairs, there'll be kind of a lounge area here with some soft seating, a little bit of a lounge area here. This whole section is the welcome center. So again, prospective students, when we've got events come in, that will be the headquarters of those visits. Okay? And having this in the building really solidifies kind of our role in the student experience. So you come here the first time as a visitor, all the things that happen in between, and then you're getting your cap and gown in the Surbeck Center before you graduate. So it's kind of solidifying our whole process in there. Okay? So we'll have that piece. Before I go down, this will enter. This is that staircase that you're currently going downstairs. That will still be there, but this wall will be open. And then a portion of the McKeel room will go away just for being able to see from side to side to the building. And the scheduling and event operations office will move there, which is awesome because then they will be centrally located of all the conference space in the building. So when they've got events going on, they can go all different directions to make sure that those take place. So then you'll go down this hallway. There's going to be a couple nooks here with some soft seating, study, hangout areas, have little meetings. This little square piece here, this is where that M is that you saw, that will be open from floor to floor. So you'll be able to see from both of those. And then you get into our brand new conference space. So we've got a kind of an executive boardroom, a pretty nice boardroom that's going to be going into that space. And then we've got a section of 3 rooms that can be open all the way up or established into 3 rooms. So this space right now, and I've tried to add to the right what would be set up. We've put in plans right now that that is where Senate will most likely be meeting. Okay, so that we will know, and then the schedule right away, Wednesday evenings, assuming that's when the night meetings continue to be, Senate's in that space. Okay. Then a pre-function space, the Hard Rock room, currently that will go to storage, and become storage for furniture to do all of that. And then the Mystic room and that other storage back there goes to the bookstore. So those are just some repurposed spaces that we're kind of looking at for that. So before we look at pictures, any questions?
Vice President.
So the Senate office will have a window anymore?
Correct. None of us will. But it's only a short walk to look at all the brand new windows. Just telling myself that every day. So look out the window a lot right now. Okay, go ahead, next slide. Okay, so So this is kind of an outward view of that lobby coming up the stairs for the Welcome Center. So you can kind of see down that hallway, and we'll get another picture of it. But I kind of want to point this piece out. So this is an architectural piece that they're putting in to represent the hills. Okay, and so from the outside you have M, representation of the hill, with this bigger idea of representing M Hill. So that's kind of a design piece that the architects are working with. But again, lounge seating there. You can see the donor wall from here. But yeah, that will be the Welcome Center piece. Next slide. And just gives you a little bit different view. That hallway, there will be some benches here. You can kind of see where those little nooks will be. You can see the lights that are going in, but again, a lot of natural light with the windows going in. Okay, great, next slide. So this is coming in the lower level entrance. So this, again, will be that hallway to go down to the dining hall. We've made a couple changes to the door, so I can't remember what, but this door is signifying that larger room that we were talking about there. And then this will just be open space into there, but you can see how you'll be able to see that level. Okay, next. And the initial preconception, this isn't that whole space of the dining hall, but you'll get an idea that you'll walk through once you enter. This is kind of the register. You'll walk up and then you'll enter, you'll make a left to enter into the food service area. So there'll be a different change. You'll be walking in really from the salad bar side and then choosing which line you get into. Okay, next. This picture here is my next favorite piece. Okay, so this right here will be part of the dining hall seating. So obviously in our warmer months, we will have options for outdoor seating. So you'll have to access that from inside the dining hall, but it gives some additional seating options from there. Okay? And then we'll just have some plaza for obviously events and things that we will be doing. Next slide. Okay. So this gives you just a little bit of a different view of that area. And again, of the M, and then that should be lighting up at night when you can see that. Okay. And next slide. Okay. And again, just another little bit of how the sidewalk paths in front of the building, bike racks, planters, those types of things. To make it look really nice outside. Okay, and next slide. Okay, then this will just be entering. Yes, oh sorry, do you want to call him Maddie or do you want me to call him? Oh, on the rolls.
I just want a little clarification about the sidewalk situation on the street facing side of the building. Mm-hmm. There's still going to be a sidewalk there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you can still walk either around or around the building on the sidewalk.
Yep. And then, you know, like the bus stop, all that stuff, that's all still over there. Okay.
Vice President Lee? That circular window I see there, that's the one that's
there.
Right?
So that's like the historic emblem.
Yep.
Yep, it's still there. Yep. Okay. And again, this right now will have planters, but we're, as of right now, putting in a planter that will have some seating space there. Again, places to hang out outside, and hopefully we'll have some programming out there. Okay. And then next slide, I think, is just questions. It's going to be really awesome.
Cinderella, I just want to say it looks really good. I'm really excited for what it's going to look like, even though it'll be at the end of my career.
Do we have a master's program here available?
It's possible.
Hey.
Secretary Garcia.
So, looking at the current footprint of the project, I noticed it was cutting pretty notably into staff parking towards the back of Survec. How is the plan going to address that without cutting into the very limited parking that's already in the other Survec, the main Survec lot?
And you can confirm this with me. This out here has been temporary as part of the project.
Just for
Yeah, so all the parking will be real.
And there is a little, they're gonna have to take some of this in, but we've also allowed some parking over in the Dakota building for faculty staff as kind of overflow, so that we have a spot for them to go to get to, or if people are visiting campus and need some space.
Senator Leonard?
Yeah, I also wanted to say this looks awesome. I'm thinking about a master's just so I can stick around for it, but.
Great. Anything else? Any other questions? Senator Sinchins.
Will there be any internships available for students to get involved?
Sellers has internships. We are always looking for people. We have one filled right now, but we are always looking for that because we do utilize everybody we can get on some of these projects and stuff too. So if you're interested,
Yeah, definitely.
Geraldine and Rex, so we would gladly have you come talk to us.
And I feel like we're meeting like, not quite every other Tuesday, but like once a month or whatever, getting updates, right? And so our next one is on the 7th, and we hope that we'll get a timeline at that point. And so as I was talking to Senator Clausen earlier today, is, you know, if there's things coming up or like big areas of the project that we want students to be aware of and be looking at this piece, you know, obviously the hope is even by April, we'll see how things go. We may see really the structure out there and being able to watch it as it moves forward. So we'll keep you abreast of that. There'll be things we'll want your feedback as we start bringing furniture concepts and things going into the new space. There might be opportunities for you to get feedback on those things. So there's an opportunity for students to continue to be engaged in the project.
I'm going to go with myself first, President Archer. So I know that admissions right now is kind of like pretty centralized in the O'Hara building right now. So will admissions get moved over to the Survey Center? And B, will the O'Hara building become like kind of just more of the administration center of the campus?
Do you want me to answer?
Please.
They won't move over right away, but I think, you know, down the road, that's going to be the route that we will go with that. So that's what we would like to, in our master plan, that's kind of like that one-stop shop and get potential cashiers back over with some of the functions over in the O'Hara building, just so you all are not kind of going back and forth. So that was one of the things we'd like to do in master plan.
And then that frees up some of that other space in Survey for us to expand other things.
All right, we'll go with Vice President Lee.
So how will like foot traffic in the building be affected like during the construction process?
Great question. I think that those are the things that we're going to learn based upon the timeline, where things are happening, right? And so for summer, for example, we'll look at what we're doing in summer, what do we have in, how do we need to look at things.
You probably won't see as much like through the fall, or
right.
through the spring semester, as far as that goes, besides the weird exiting we have going on over there right now that we're trying to keep everything abreast of. But when we come back in the fall, there will be some issues.
And part of it's going to be traffic. What, you know, at some point, and we don't know where that is, but when they start working on like the McGill section and that staircase and that goes out, I mean, we may be entering the lower level from the other access points. So we'll just need to be making sure that we're keeping you abreast of what that is, but also doing signage and letting you know how things are changing as we go through the project.
And they're trying to put some of that into the summer's work to get some of that out of the way so it's not as invasive, but it will be invasive. Just put it that way.
It'll be worth it.
Senator Syverson.
Progress.
Will there be somewhere online where these pictures will be accessible and this information for other students to see it if they're interested?
Yeah, we should. We can figure out the best way to do that. Right now, it's in the current meeting folder, so obviously you all can access it through your Teams drive. We should just think of how we want to do that. I know people have talked about emailing students, and I'm happy to do that if we fail. But if they can go to a centralized location, that might be better. And then again, we have physical copies of the plans in my office. And so then there'll be a signage in the building too, like if people have questions, they can come in. And facilities also has a set of the plans over in their office as well.
President Archer. I will be emailing all these slideshows out, or all the presentations out, say for probably ASCE's presentation out to the student body today, or tonight with my email.
And yeah, and we'll talk, like, I don't know, maybe there's somewhere on the app driver or something that we'll figure out how we get that, but we can start with this piece.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Director.
Cool, thank you.
Moving on, we have unfinished business from our last, which is the Society of Control Engineers.
I already read this. It's resolution 25S002. Are there any questions on it?
Any motions?
Motion to
Senator
vote.
Fink. Motion to vote by Senator Fink, seconded by Senator Leonard. All right, let's roll call vote.
Alright. Aye. Chair. Kent. Aye. Lawson. Aye. Fernandez. Fink.
Aye.
Hill.
Abstain.
Keel.
Aye.
Leonard.
Aye.
Lewis. Masters. Aye. Moriarty.
Aye.
Richards.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Ascension.
Aye.
Seekman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stanek.
Aye.
Stolman. Severson.
Aye.
Vostock. Malovich. Motion passes.
All right, moving on, we have new business today. Senator Seekman.
I have here a little bit of new business. I have some thank you cards for Regent Partridge, the Secretary of State, Secretary Johnson, excuse me, Mayor Solomon, Representative Goodwin, and President Tandy, all folks who spoke with us in our meetings and at SHED. I'd love it if everyone can pass them around and sign them quick. Thank you very much.
That's personally.
Do you want non-SHED people to sign the?
I think so. They're signed on behalf of all of, sorry. I think so. They're signed on behalf of all of the Student Association Senate, so I think it's a good gesture to have everyone sign.
All right, perfect. Next we have our some new business. This is our committee appointments.
Archer Weed Resolution number 25S005, dated 29 January 2025. Originated by President Archer and myself, presented by myself. Whereas the Student Association Constitution states that the Student Association Senate President and Vice President shall be senators to serve on standing committees subject to the approval of the Student Association Senate, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Association Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that the following senators be appointed to their respective committees: Senator Hill, Student Affairs Committee; Senator Sentjens, Finance Committee.
Any questions, comments about this? I'll make a comment. I'd rather get this passed sooner than later so everyone can officially serve on their committee. So with that, I'll entertain motions. Senator Smith.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules by Senator Smith. Senator Leonard.
Second.
Second by Senator Leonard. All those in favor of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Rules are suspended. Senator Fink.
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote by Senator Fink. Senator Vostead.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Vostead. Roll call vote.
Alright. Boucher. Kent.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Fernandez. Fink.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Leonard.
Aye.
Lewis. Masters. Aye. Moriarty.
Aye.
Richards. Aye. Shaw.
Aye.
Sentjens.
Abstain.
Seekman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stanek.
Aye.
Stolman. Severson.
Aye.
Vostock. Aye. Yurmalovich. Motion passes.
Motion passes. All right. Moving on to open discussion. Any points of open discussion? Senator Fink.
I was just wondering how the meeting went today with Survey.
Senator Leonard.
We're gonna cover that in the ad hoc section, since we're ad hoc.
Any other, or Senator Leonard.
Have we talked to the facility about the ice in the parking lots?
Senator Archer, or President Archer, no, I haven't reached out to them about that yet. I apologize for that, but I've been focusing on SHED, I think, and various other activities, but I will put that top of my priority list because that is a safety concern. Any other points about discussion or comments, questions, concerns concerning the ICE and the Survey parking lot? Seeing none, again, last call for open discussion. Seeing none, moving on to our CFO report.
Alright, so there's 3 things to go over in my report. So the first thing is the SOAP hearings have been sent out via email, and so I'm receiving presentations from each of the individual student organizations. And I have requested over $1,000 to be prepared for the SOAP hearings this upcoming Saturday and Sunday. Next point is there was a supplemental request that I received from Robot Robotics, and it was rejected. And then there was a response. I met with the leadership of the organization yesterday, and I also received a formal letter from Amy, who is on the camp team, like the camp director. But we have continued as a finance committee to reject the supplemental request. So the main reasoning on why we rejected this request is that the main reason was Robot Robotics had not filed a claim that was seen as not. Let me rephrase that. Okay. They requested funds that were not an extenuating or unforeseen circumstance. So they had requested in the previous fiscal year, not previous fiscal year, but for the sub-application for this current fiscal year, $999.99, which was under the $1,000 total, so they wouldn't have to do a presentation, or if that's a possibility. And their total expenses were around $6,000 to $7,000, which is a very big issue, and so that could be like a possibility, just giving them the benefit of the doubt, but there is like a lot of issues with that. That is not an unforeseen or extenuating circumstance. Other points of deliberation that were made when the supplemental application was rejected was that the Robot Robotics leadership has indicated that this would be a learning year at competition and not a high-stakes competitive year. We noted that supplemental funds from self-reserves are a limited resource and only allocated for unforeseen or unexpected circumstances. An omission of financial needs does not constitute an unforeseen circumstance. And our final bullet point was the Robot Robotics leadership team discussed with the finance committee that there are alternative funding methods that could be used to send a leadership team to competition in Florida without competing. And we just wanted to note that while we did not wish for this outcome to occur, it was in our best interest as the finance committee to be appropriate in how we're going to distribute supplemental funds, and we have to be more strict about it than compared to past fiscal years. So that was the second point. And the third point is that I had the university budget committee notes on the 23rd of January, so that was a little bit before SHED. So there's like a few things that I highlighted that were to keep note. So there will be an SD Minds presentation for the Joint Committee of Appropriations on February 6th. And so they'll be having suggestions about the budget. And edits would be deliberated and presented by someone in administration, assuming it is an individual in administration. So then you also have the previous governor budget address where there was a BOR and Associated University cut by $2 million. It seemed like in the meeting that they implied that there was still like the continued advocacy for the 30% increase in tuition per year here at South Mines. If that's something that they're proposing, I would make sure to get updates with them on that. They noted that there is recognized for our low tuition costs, like how our school is recognized for low tuition costs, and it's been relatively consistent since fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 25. And then they had models. They had 3 one-pager models. The NCOMS model with work that's already been completed with the first one, work to be completed and not changing. So just very technical information about how they are managing their budgets. And otherwise, there was one interesting discussion point that they had. Of discussion was assessed for entry-level courses to be potentially taught by graduate students, which I know that's kind of like an issue with like a lot of people in the student body are like, ugh, because they know that's the case for labs. And this was sparked by debate and it with statics in the civil engineering department, but a professor online rather than in person. The desire by the department is to find a graduate student to teach these courses that will be skilled and vetted by the department. However, there is no proposed mechanism to complete this through the university. That obviously relates to financial situations. If there is a budget with the university about like paying professors to graduate students. But that's also this discussion with this relations with the student affairs or public relations committees. Budget preparation, not doing hearings and landing the process last year, and surveys will be provided through the narrative for these responses. So it's kind of like the individual, they had surveys that they want to send out about like the feedback from students about the department. Not from students, so feedback that the budget's effects would have on each of the individual departments in the future related to the OER cut with the $2 million. And that's about it. I might sound confusing there, I apologize, but is there any questions or no?
Questions, comments, concerns from CFO Lockwood? Seeing none, we'll move on to our Vice President report.
Hey, good evening. I'll try to keep this short. I just want to recap what happened during SHED. I think we all had a good time. I want to thank all the senators that participated. It was a lot of fun for myself. I hope you all had fun. Unfortunately, no stances were taken by the Student Federation on any bills, so that was somewhat disappointing. But I think our university was well represented. We really put ourselves out there, talked to legislators, talked to the governor. Got a tour from Representative Goodwin, which was really awesome. I think we did a good job reminding them that we're here and that we pay attention to what legislators do, and yeah, I think it was great. So as Senator Seidman mentioned, we have cards going around that we'll want each one of you to sign. Also had the opportunity to connect with student representatives from NSU and BH, so there would be interesting things coming up, especially with BH. They're struggling a little bit, and so they might want some suggestions from us eventually. Senator Clausen just sent out an email regarding the gap survey that we conducted a little while back, so please encourage your constituents to read that and kind of engage with that further. This gap issue is not done, so please continue to speak with other students about that. Standard report.
All right. Any questions, comments, concerns for Vice President Lee? Seeing none, moving on to my report. So first of all, there is one bill that came down the pipeline kind of right before and during our kind of SHED here, and that was Senate Bill 100. For those who don't know what Senate Bill 100 is, I guess the very brief explanation of it is it would allow students to carry concealed pistols, what did it say? Pistols, tasers, and mace and pepper spray on campus, and it basically provides or more so it restricts the board reasons for instituting policies that restrict that practice on campus. And further in that, for those who don't know, in order to conceal carry in South Dakota, you actually don't have to have a concealed carry license at all. So we seen that we feel like that majorly affects us. This is an issue that certain organizations on campus have been advocating for and against on campus. A lot of students have been talking about this issue for years on campus. So we're working. I want to start working with Connor on student affairs to send out a survey to gauge opinions, and then also collaboration with Senator Seidman to send out a survey to the student body gauging the opinion on Senate Bill 100, because I know with personal conversations I've had that there are a bunch of mixed feelings for and against this bill in very different capacities. As well as once we get those kind of opinions with it in, if we feel the need to, and there will probably be a pretty strong need to, set up an open forum. I will also work with Student Affairs Committee on that, with Connor on that, to set up an open forum to discuss Senate Bill 100 if we find the need to do that. First of all, I'll take Senator Leonard. Do you have any
I
questions?
just also like to note that it also allows for the storage of weapons on campus, which just implies that it can be kept in the dorms as well.
Okay, so that is a good note. Allow storage on campus as well. Then, I guess I glossed over that when I was reading it this afternoon, but yes. Senator Seekman.
Another topic of note, as per conversation with Board of Regents staffs this weekend that we were all present for, those who were not at SHED, they neither seemed expressly at that moment for nor against the bill. Granted, it had just dropped, but they recognized that there was concerns and pros and cons on both sides. So there is not an official stance on that end nor to that end as well.
Yeah, and I also had conversations with different representatives and legislatures from South Dakota government, and I can go more in depth about that conversation in general outside of this meeting. I know Senator Clausen and I actually did talk to one representative in particular who seemed pretty in favor of it, and I imagine that is a common sentiment within the South Dakota government. So I just want to note that as well. Moving on from that, I guess, first of all, any other questions, comments for that bill? Because I know that's pretty, yes, Senator Syverson.
I can't remember if you said this, but are we going to take a stance on it, or is that going to be up to the survey?
I believe our current action is not to take a stance on it, but rather conduct a survey amongst the student body, see what the general opinion is, and then possibly hold an open forum from that. And then as the senators, we can reconvene with that information. If we really feel like we can take a stance on it, then I will open discussion. I will be open to discussion about that. So yeah, with that, we'll move on to the next part of the report, office hours. So I don't think anyone's signed up for office hours really yet. And I kind of want to enforce that this semester. So I'm not going to entertain any motions to adjourn until I see names on office hours. Well, it does seem like there are a decent amount on there. I have to read them. So yes, please do that right now if we want to adjourn and not have to wait at the end. Then meeting with Senator Seekman.
Where is that again?
It will be under. It'll just be under the 24-25 Archer Week. It should just be under that folder directly because I put it in the president's folder, but I realized that might be harder to access, so it's just directly under our administration folder. Moving on from that, Vice President, please.
I've seen multiple tabs for different class standings.
Yes. So go into your class standing. And then there are 4 time slots. I realized that when I copied it over, I forgot to delete my name from all of them from different. So, and if you're a special interest senator, fill out the special interest senator. So that would be veteran senator, graduate senator, non-traditional senator, and international senator, all fill out the same one. Your class senator should be under your tab, and then the executive team, that would be myself, Vice President Lee, Secretary Garcia, and CFO Lockwood would all fill out our office hours under our tab. Yes, please go in and fill that. Thank you for everyone who did fill out beforehand. And if you see my name on your time slot and you want that time slot, just delete it because I'm on the executive one. So, yes, Senator Richards. 2 hours? 2 hours a week, yes. 2 hours a week, please. Yes. So, everyone continue doing that, and I'll keep getting my report. Dr. LaRochelle. So we weren't able to get Dr. LaRochelle to come into a conventional Senate meeting to meet with us to talk about the mechanical engineering department. However, Vice President Lee and I were able to email him and get a meeting time set up on February the 10th at 11 a.m. Right? 11 a.m. Yes, 11 a.m. And so if you are a mechanical engineering student, I highly encourage you to come to the Senate office at that time because we will be meeting with Dr. LaRochelle in there then to discuss the mechanical engineering department and ask some questions from the student body. Additionally, we will also at that meeting be asking him to record a video to give to the student association senate at a meeting in lieu of a report of a presentation to all of us going over what his department does and then the kind of like the big questions that end up coming up in that meeting. So that's what we'll be doing for the mechanical engineering department.
Point of clarification, what time did you say this will be?
Meeting will be at 11 a.m. on Monday, February 4th. Or Monday, February 10th, sorry. Sorry. Moving on from that, we finally have Senate vacancies still. We have 2 vacancies in the senior senator positions. And so all the seniors in here, that includes myself, I would really like for you to talk to seniors who want to be involved on Senate. I know that is fairly difficult because a lot of seniors are about to graduate. So they're at more the end of their time in mind rather than the beginning or middle of it. So, but I would highly encourage you to find people who are motivated still to represent their senior class. Vice President Lee.
Just want to add that to be considered a senior, you can either be a senior by class standing, like credits taken, or by semester to be a senior. So either works.
And Senator Sessions?
There's a gentleman by the name of Tim Wolf who expressed interest.
Cool. I will talk to Tim. Senator Severson?
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, I know a few people who might be interested, but I just need to know, like, who are they supposed to contact in case for that information?
Tell them to reach out to either the president email or the vice president email, and just give them both emails. So, yes. Any other? That's the end of my report. Any comments, questions, concerns for me? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to our class senator reports again. So starting off with the freshman class, Senator Clausen.
The freshmen are doing pretty good as usual. Our Cerbec is being, plagued with the pre-plating thing. From what I hear, that might be being taken care of. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I hear a lot of. And then kind of the same long-term issues. I'm sure we've all been hearing about elevator problems and then expensive laundry. That's pretty much all I've heard.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Senator Clausen? Seeing none, moving on to our sophomore report from Senator Fink.
I haven't heard a lot of complaints on the sophomores besides for the walk from Placer, which I'm not moving the building. Sure, that
Senator Archer, any cool things going on for the sophomore class?
probably something I'm missing.
Alright. Any other comments, questions? Senator Seekman.
Unrelated to your report, where did the cards get to?
Right here. Alright. Any other comments, questions, concerns for Senator Fink? Yep. Alright, moving on to our junior report from Senator Alarafe.
I haven't got any crazy news about my class. I just wanted to just kind of reiterate. I've been seeing a lot of participation on extracurriculars from our class, so I just wanted to kind of point that out. A lot of at sporting events and things like that. Like I went to the basketball games and I saw a lot of juniors, so I just want to say that we're trying to be more active. So as we said, as I'm pretty sure Senator Moss said, so last week we're kind of separated on and off campus, but I think we're doing a good job of trying to be representative through a lot of things.
Vice President Lee.
I want to add to that about the engagement from our specific class. I spoke with some senators from BH, and they said specifically that our roasts are really good during football games, and our impromptu cheerleaders are very good, and that's all our class. So I'm proud of us.
We're monsters, by the way.
Vice President President Archer, I would like to point out that also the senior class has some pretty loud individuals as well. Personal friends, Senator Alarafe.
Not as loud as junior class and before.
President Archer, on that note, also, I know that a discussion that came up in Shed this week and with class spirit was There seems to be a feeling that we are actually diminishing on our rivalry with BH. So, especially in the underclassmen, if you guys could take it upon yourself and possibly restoke that rivalry, it's really good for school spirit. It was a big thing when I came here in 21, and I would like to see that continue. So please stoke that rivalry. Anyways, any other comments, questions, concerns for the juniors? Seeing none, we'll move on to our senior center report from senior class report from Senator Stanley.
So it seems like a lot of seniors are starting to get hit by senior ranks hard. A lot of lack of motivation, especially with trying to finish. They just want to get done. That's a lot of what they are. Or if they're trying into the masters, that are kind of just going for another year. It seems like a lot of them are preparing for basically career fair if they don't already have a job secured. And there is some trepidation with the job market as it currently is, but other than that, I've just been hearing a lot of random stories about what Knutson yells about during his 8 a.m. opera class.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns for senior staff?
I do have something related to seniors as well.
Secretary Garcia.
Just a reminder, you have 6 months after graduation before your email just disappears. So if you want to keep a hold of your textbooks or still have access to your Handshake account, make sure to tell people to change their emails to an email that they actually own that isn't related to the school, or else you will just lose that stuff. And you paid quite a bit for those textbooks, so you might not want to lose those.
Good to know. Any other questions, comments, concerns in the senior report? Seeing none, moving on to our international report.
Senator Hernandez asked me to say that he has no report.
No report. All right. Moving on to our veteran report.
Discussion points with the veterans continue to be numerous and vulgar. I will, however, only bring up 2 of them. One of my guys works in the museum, and he says that visitors are coming in saying there's not a lot of parking for the visitors right now. So I don't know if that's something we can look at. I think he was saying the construction folks are taking up most of the visitor parking. So I passed it on. The other one, like was brought up earlier, that was kind of coincidental, was the flipped classes. I don't know what constitutes a formal complaint on that. Somebody could very likely submit one. We can get that sorted. I'd be happy to talk to somebody offline, given the ponderous length of this meeting so far. But they have strong opinions on that, and we'd be happy to share them.
Dean DeLucas.
Senator Hill, I can send you the link for the formal complaint submission form.
All right.
And pass it on.
Would you like me to consolidate it into one or have lots of little ones?
There's really no preference.
Okay.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns for veterans, Senator Hill? Seeing none, moving on to our non-traditional report.
Oh, yeah. I do have some good news about the dynamic scholarship list. ITS has started developing it, and financial aid has started entering the scholarships in the database, and they're going to reach out to me once it's ready for student testing. End of report.
All right, our report. Any comments, questions, concerns for our for Senator Cantz? Seeing none, moving on to our graduate report. Senator Lewis has stepped out. Did he give you anything about that? Okay, perfect. Seeing that, no reports. Moving on to our committee report, starting with Constitution.
Alright, we got one Constitution that is being worked on right now. It's sold. Senator Vossett is who I'm talking to currently, serving others who do I love. Really beautiful philosophy on that Constitution, so I can't wait to see what comes out of that. We'll probably have them present whenever he gets ready. Seems like he's moving with it, so I feel like we'll have that probably next week for y'all. And then we also have the Society of Bangladeshi students that will be here next week officially. You know, they finally got through there. Saw an email about the Graduate Woman in Science. I will connect with Corey a little bit on that just to see what I need to do. But yeah, so that's basically all that's coming down from my end of report.
Any comments, questions, concerns for the Constitution Commission? Seeing none, moving on to Public Relations Committee.
Nothing really on the PR front that hasn't already been said, just keep it on, keep it on. I would like to express my frustration on the Student Federation front that we did not take stances this weekend. I appreciate you all being willing to take stances and putting the time and effort to be educated and take our stances that we did. And I am sorry that Student Federation did not. We have a plan that we're meeting this weekend, and I anticipate that that will be the outcome. I will do my best to make sure that is the outcome. But thank you guys for being awesome, and I'm sorry that that didn't happen this weekend. End of report.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Public Relations Committee? Seeing none, moving on to our Government Relations Committee.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming to SHED and making it really successful. The presidential, vice presidential petitions came out today and are available in the Senate office. If you notice, those are like, there's none left, just let me know. Be scheduling tabling for that next week just to make it known, and if we get more than one set of candidates, we'll have a debate scheduled probably for the Friday after the petitions are due, and that will be an hour. I don't know where yet. Ganchuros finally accepted a fundraiser on February 28th, and since I finally got the paperback for the monument signups, and people didn't really fill it out, so expect an email from me with some possible dates for doing another monument.
Alright, any comments, questions, concerns for Government Relations? Yes, Vice President Lee.
Remind me how far we are in our fundraising?
35,000. I thought it was lower than this, but it's now 6,000 for our goal. So we need probably 2 monument fundraisers.
Senator Archer, or President Archer. So I originally.
3,500.
So our original goal for fundraising was 4,000 because we didn't see it realistic that we get up to 6,000. However, due to the success from last semester, where we were able to get a pretty substantial amount, I think we wanted to extend that goal to 6,000 because that was our ideal amount, not our realistic amount. So, Senator Leonard.
Yeah. So we're expecting to do 2 more monument fundraisers this semester. I'd like to see every senator do at least one.
Senator Allrappit.
So it gives like 1,500 per event. Like, what is this about that? Okay, that's
President Archer, monument events are very successful. That's why we started doing them in Lambda. They were very successful for us, so I've been kind of extending them to the clubs and organizations I felt kind of recommending them. I think just in general, organizations are really finding that monument events are really successful in fundraising. Senator Keel.
Is there any way we can get a regular report on how that money is being used?
President Archer, CFO Lockwood, or probably CFO Lockwood would be the person to talk to about that. Just a regular report on how the fundraising money is being used.
So the for the fundraising money, a lot of it would be going to use for just just the cost related to Senate. So it was including like SHED and all that kind of stuff that we had general expenses for. Because we had the official amount that we had in our budget for GAP, and then the remaining amount that we had that was like the 6,000 around there was not covered, so that we wanted to get a lot of that covered through fundraising. So yeah, so the majority of that total that we had at the beginning of the semester through EBOR was a discussion with the 15,000 that was covered for salaries. And then we had the remaining 6,000 that we wanted to use for other needs, like supplies for Senate, methods of outreach that would be worth the cost.
Director Edley?
Yes, just a real confirm piece, there was enough money in your GAP account, so that should cover all expenses for shed. With some money left over out there. So anything that's been fundraised as of right now from the fall, none of it has been spent at this point. So that's, and I think you had $300 some before you did those fundraisers. So all of that's in that fundraising account, right?
Yeah, I subtracted 300.
Senator Leonard?
I subtracted 300 because there's 3,800 in the account right now, so we raised about 500. The reason we felt the need to fundraise is because obviously the whole campus is on a budget and we didn't get as much from GAF as we needed to cover things like salaries of the chairs and stuff. So some of the chairs gave up their salaries. So we're fundraising just to cover what we expect to be a deficit in the budget again next year.
Sir Keel?
I would just like, in general, to know the money that we're fundraising, who's in charge of it, how it's being used on a semi-regular basis. I feel like, it's not that I don't trust everybody here, but I don't trust anybody here. When it comes to, 6,000 possible dollars, I just think everybody should be held accountable, and I'd like to know about it in general.
Senator Leonard?
Yeah, and geography, I don't think we have too much to talk about, so you can just stick around after this for a couple minutes.
Alright. Senator Sheikman?
What a personal person?
Alright, moving on. Any other comments, questions, concerns for Government Relations Committee, first of all? Seeing none, moving on to our student affairs committee.
Well, Vice President, you kind of did my report for me. I sent out the GAF survey, so definitely read that. Let me know what you think about it. I think we had a really successful GAF survey. Everyone kind of, I don't know, the responses were surprisingly, mild. Everyone's pretty happy with where GAF's at. Obviously, no one really wants to increase because no one ever wants to pay any more money. But yeah, so look over that. And that's pretty much all I got.
Any comments, questions, concerns for Student Affairs Committee? Seeing none, moving on to our ad hoc committees. Senator Leonard.
So, Senator Masters and I, the food committee, met with the director of dining and some other people kind of related to dining today. We had some good conversations. We addressed most of the concerns that were brought up to the Senate with them, and they're going to start working on that. We're also going to help with advertising the grill at the Miners Shack because they can't put a staff on there to make sure that orders are being consistently filled unless people are actually ordering from it. We plan on meeting monthly from now on, and there was discussion about maybe adding another freshman senator to the committee. Something to keep in mind. And we will be putting together a Google form sent out to campus to get a clear idea of some questions that we had about
Alright, comments, questions, concerns for food service committee? Just Vice President.
Can you make that a Microsoft Forms survey there so that our data is actually logged on some of the shareable internet?
Senator Leonard.
Yeah.
Alright, with that, any other comments, questions, concerns for ad hoc committees? Any other reports for ad hoc committees? Seeing none, moving on to upcoming Senate business. Yes, Steve Lugos.
So definitely need to, if we want to continue the faculty and fire hot wing eating contest, we'll definitely want to recommend 2 individuals to participate in that. So I'll work with President Archer and just have that as a maybe a unfinished business or something, so that we can decide next week. So just be thinking about it.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns for Dean Gallegos? Seeing none, moving on to announcements. Any announcements? Yes, Senator Saxon.
Senator Seekman wanted to express her thanks to both you and Clyde for organizing SHED.
you're allowed to do so. Have a good time. Alright. There's one person who hasn't filled out. I've seen on my sheets at least.
I'm 24/7 access to the vet center with my bachelor. I'll get that sorted out.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. With that, I guess I will entertain the motions. Senator Alarape.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Senator Alarape, seconded by Senator Vossett. All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.